All right, Tim, I'll start it, okay? At Don Cherry's Grapevine, how am I doing so far?
Sounds good.
All right. Tim, we got to talk about the Canadian division. I mean, that is unbelievable, the Canadian division. If they have the Canadian division, the TV ratings can go up. Can you imagine? You know, the owners like it too. You know why the owners like it?
Yeah, it'll be less travel.
Yeah, less travel. 40% less travel. The owners like that right off the bat.
Well, one of the reasons they were thinking of doing that is because now they don't have to cross the border.
Yeah,
and they
that's
don't know
true.
they don't know. Like,
January 1st, I think it is.
right, but they don't know if you're going to cross the border. Do you have to quarantine for 14 days or anything? So they're splitting them up into four divisions, and one being.
Can you imagine coming into Toronto? I live in Toronto. You come in here, you're going to see McDavid at least 3 or 4 times. How many times?
Well, I was reading different things, and they were talking about they would play each other 8 times, 4 at home, 4 on the road.
Unbelievable.
So that's 64 games they'd play.
Now, I'm not knocking Nashville, and I'm not knocking Carolina, but who would you rather see, McDavid and Draisaitl?
But do you like the one thing that I think that's been missing in hockey has been the rivalries.
Oh, can you imagine? You know, I played it a long time, played 16 years, and we played with 6 teams, and you knew rivalries are great. And boy, can you imagine? I mean, Vancouver coming in with all those young guys. That Schmidt, Tim, you went on television, and the people in Vancouver think that they're going to be worse off, and we went on Twitter and we did a vote saying which team of each team saying, do you think on Twitter do you think they'll be better, worse, or the same? And why would the people of Vancouver, when they get a guy like Holtby, I mean, goaltending is all you have to do is take a look at why would they think that? Why would they?
Well, they're mad that they lost
to Foley.
And that seems to be the main thing.
But against Schmidt, the defenseman.
Defense is everything, right?
Defense is everything. That's what you win on. I mean, if you got a system and you got a good defense, that's what you win on. The Leafs prove that. And, but anyhow, how could they think that Vancouver, to have that Schmidt, just getting that Schmidt, and then they got Holtby on top. I think Benning's doing a great job. And they're going to be one of the powerhouses next year. If everybody plays... If the young guys play, there the way they played last year, I mean, it's fantastic. Yeah. I think Vancouver going to be one of the powerhouses of the whole division.
Yeah. And then if we go through that, the fans voted, about 5,000 fans voted, and they think that the Flames are better off.
Well, they got Markstrom. They're going on the goaltender. You get a goaltender like Markstrom, I mean, he can win games by himself if he plays the same way. Boy, what do you give him, a 7-year contract?
Yeah, big dough. Yeah. And then the other guy that they just signed, again from Vancouver, that you liked was Josh Levo. I
like Levo. If Levo plays regular on the first 3 lines, he'll get 20, 22 goals easy. I mean, this guy has the touch, and he'll get, if they play him, but, somehow he ends up in the 4th line all the time.
Do you believe, Dad, in these long-term contracts? Like when you coached, was there any player that you had a long-term contract?
No, I had the guys that had long-term contracts would play for nothing. The true. Gretzky's kind of guy would play for nothing. Crosby would play for nothing. Bobby Orr would play for nothing. But you sign some of these guys, I don't care who you are. You get a 7-year contract.
Especially a goalie, don't you think, too?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But a 7-year contract, I don't care. I went every year with no contract, and I was hungry every year. I used to see
You're
the guy
only making $5,000 though.
Yeah, but as you said, you had to make
make it every year.
Every year you had to make the team.
And you know what? You get a 7-year contract. I don't care who you are.
You just show up.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But Markstrom, I think he looks like a guy that has a little pride. Edmonton, now they're going to be the same. They figure what they say.
Yeah, about 4,000 people voted, and they said that it's a split. They're either a little bit better, or the same. They really didn't do much, I don't think.
Unless they didn't do much, but I'll tell you one thing: they got McDavid. I don't know. You know what, Tim? Of all the things in hockey, and I follow it pretty closely. That's my life. I can't believe that McDavid wasn't even nominated for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, would somebody please explain that to me? He's the best hockey player in the world. There's nobody. He plays reckless. Nobody plays like him. Bobby Orr used to play like him. They say, Bobby, we're up. Well, why do he says, that's the way I play. He has to play that way. I don't understand it. Anyhow, Leafs are going to be better off. They should be better.
Yeah.
They're bigger.
They're older.
Here's another team. I won't go through it again. They drafted every guy they drafted in their draft. They drafted all Europeans and an American, and every one they signed is a big guy. Thornton's big. He's 6'5". Simmons is a big guy. He's about 6'2".
Well, he balanced it off. He signed all the older Ontario guys and drafted all the young European guys.
I figure it. I guess Ottawa got to be better off. I wish they hadn't lost that defenseman. What's his name?
I forget the guy that hits all the time.
Yeah, I really liked him.
He went to Nashville.
Yeah, he went to Nashville. I really liked him. Anyhow,
but they'll be better. They'll be better off with Murray.
I'll tell you one thing. And the Canadians will be good. They got that Jake Allen. I mean, I've always liked him, and he's a backup. I tell you one thing. If I was Price, I'd play hard because if this guy gets a chance, this Jake Allen, he's a good goaltender.
Yeah. And then the Jets. Everybody thought that they were going to be a little bit either they're the same or worse.
I don't know. They lost a lot of guys, and without Bufflin, they got a good coach, and Maurice, and maybe you can put Magic again. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't trade Lane, so.
Well, we'll see what happens. But Dad, I just want to shout out to our sponsor, Don Cherry Sports Grill. There's about 18 of them across Canada, and we want to say special hello to Parry Sound, Tim Turner and the staff. Say hello to
Bobby Orr.
That's from
I wish
Bobby
they had
Orr.
a better sign of Bobby.
And if you go up in Parry Sound and go stop in the Don Cherry's and Tuesday night swing night and go see the Bobby Orr Museum.
I was in there. I dropped in. After, and they didn't know. Nobody come. Nice, geez, nobody even likes me, and they were afraid to come up and talk. And then when they did, remember I dropped in there after, and
we go every year when Bobby has his golf tournament.
Yeah.
We go up every year. You and I, we have a lot of fun driving up, driving down the same day, and we have a lot of fun. So we dropped in. I mean, you feel sort of bad when you're in the city and you don't stop in.
Remember, nobody come up and talk to me or anything for a while there, and I thought, gee, they're mad at me. And then when they did, but they're great people. But getting back to the Canadian.
Well, we'll get back to the Canadian teams. But just the one thing I thought was kind of cool because we were just talking that Tuesday night swing night on Parry Sound that but before, like Wings, people don't realize that way back in the day, long time ago, Wings were a throwaway part of the chicken.
Oh yeah.
Nobody used to eat them. And you went to the original. What was the bar called?
Anchor Bar
in Buffalo, and they were the original ones that started buying all the wings.
That's why they call them Buffalo Wings.
And
so I remember with the Boston Bruins, the guy said, "Grapes, we're going to a bar. You got to come along. Got to see this bar." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll go along." And we got to the bar, and there's a lineup out the front, it's a little wee bar, So where are you guys going? We went to the back door, in the kitchen. They knocked on the door, and opened up, and they knew Wayne Cashman and all the guys. So we're walking through the kitchen, through the back, and there is a mother. There was a mom, they call her Mom, and she was making She was making the wings. Anyway, and so we went out. They had a little corner. I stayed for a while, but that's where the Buffalo Anchor at the Anchor.
So that's probably the first time you ever had wings. Was there?
Well, I don't remember. I don't even if I had a wing.
Because you and Mom in Quebec used to have chicken backs. She said.
Well, when I was in Springfield, we didn't have much money, unfortunately. I wasn't making much. Well, I was making $4,500. I guess the people on welfare were making more. But anyhow. Rose and I used to eat. We used to eat chicken packs, and they used to sell chicken packs, and they were really good. She used to put rosemary on, and never ate wings. I mean, I think they were throwaway.
They didn't back then. People never used to.
How much meat could possibly be on?
There was a lot. It
would be dark meat, right?
It was. I don't know.
Like a thigh.
But the way Rose used to do them, that we used to have the chicken wings, and we used to have chicken backs.
That's because they were cheap.
Yeah, nobody ever wanted chickenbacks.
Another throwaway.
Wish used to make good meal.
Yeah.
No, but let's get back to that. I like that you don't cross the border, which is good, the Canadian division.
Yep.
You see McDavid more. I say McDavid. Am I in love with the McDavid or what?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it does. All Canadian teams, which is good. You know, you'll see Ottawa coming in. Ottawa will be better. And you'll see all Canadian teams, which, you know, I sometimes we'd go, you'd see, I mean, I'm not knocking some of the teams that come in here, but they're good. You get in about February when they can't, you know, they're going through the motions. Every game will be a 4-point game. And there's no weak teams. Like used to be, maybe 10 years ago, we used to have. There's no weak team in the Canadian division now, boy. You four pointers, they'll be dog eat dog.
So for people that don't know what a 4-point game is if there's Toronto, Montreal wins. If Toronto wins, that's 2 points that they gain, and that's 2 points that Montreal loses. So that's a 4-point game.
And that's a 4-point game. And you will not see any. You'll not see guys going through the motions. Every game will mean something, and if you don't mean it, you won't be playing.
Well, as we say, to kind of bring back some rivalries.
Oh, boy, I love
rivalries. You go to, a quick funny story. I remember I was at a golf tournament. This was a while back when Nashville was Nashville's like about 10 years into the season. So we were at a golf tournament, and they had platinum Toronto Maple Leaf tickets up for auction. So some guy, platinum, they were right along the glass. They were right along the glass.
Oh boy.
So some guy,
and they were up for auction.
They were up for auction, and they were bidding this guy. This guy had a few beers, and he was bidding. And he probably bid too much. So I think he bid like $3,000 on these tickets, and he was all excited. So the guy goes, "Yes," he goes, "You've got platinum tickets right along the ice for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Nashville." And the guy goes, "Nashville? Nashville? Do they have a hockey team?
Yeah.
I spent $3,000 to see Nashville." He goes, "You give me $1 million, I couldn't name 2 guys on Nashville."
Can I tell you a funny story? I remember when I left Boston, I got with Colorado, and I was down on Wolf Island, and for some reason I was driving to Toronto. So I stopped off at this Esso spot, and a kid was filling out, or I was standing there, and a kid. "Hi, Mr. Cherry. I'm sorry you lost your job in Boston." So he said, "Well, who are you going to coach this year?" And I said, Colorado Rockies. "Oh," he says, "are they in the National Hockey League?" Little did I know it's the same guy with Nashville. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not knocking Nashville. I'm not knocking Colorado. I'm not knocking those teams that come in. But can you imagine? You're going to see McDavid. You're going to see Ottawa. You're going to see.
Well, hopefully, like the Toronto Ottawa will build up, and you'll get imagine the Battle of Alberta will get going again.
Calgary and Alberta and Edmonton going, and Vancouver going to be a powerhouse. 2 good goalies.
So okay, Dad, everybody's going to want to know who's going to be in first place.
Holy smokes! I don't know. I really don't.
You got to pick one. You got to pick somebody.
Oh, all right. I got to pick one guy. All right, I'll say Calgary.
You think Calgary will be first?
I'm banking on Markstrom that I'd say Calgary end up in first. So you can laugh at me at the end. But I think they've got the good team. They've got now that all he needed was a real hot goaltender. And if he's 7-year contract, kind of bothers me. But I guess they had to get him. But I'd say Calgary.
Yeah, regular.
Who are you going to take?
I think regular season you'll pick the Leafs, but playoff time, who knows? And what do you think, Cindy?
Vancouver. No, you guys are always going on about their goalies and stuff, so I'll vote for. I wish Toronto would do well, but
it'll be interesting. Like they talked about the division, but I haven't seen anything what would happen in the playoffs. Like I don't know if there would be a playoff within the division, and then the winners of the 2 divisions go into the semifinals. I don't know. I don't know what.
I haven't seen anything but that. Anyhow, I like the Canadian division, the TV. I know. Sportsnet will be they'll be rubbing their hands every Saturday night. It'll be jammed.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so now we have a fan question, and this is from Dave from Sudbury. You played with Al Arbour. That was in Rochester.
And you loved it in Sudbury. You and Mom. Do you remember?
Oh, I remember Sudbury. I remember snow, and I remember getting the big igloos, and we'd have caves under the snow plows, piles, and everything. I love Sudbury.
Remember and we went out, and we hung up four pieces of bread on string. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was so cold, the birds never. And I remember you used to watch Bill and Ben, Flower Pot Men.
That's right.
And
well, the other one, the Friendly Giant.
Friendly Giant, yeah, remember the Friendly Giant? And I used to sit and watch those after practice all the time in a big chair. And I remember Rose and I sleep. We had a big double bed, and the guy put on plastic on the mattress.
Did we ever tell the story about you about the Friendly Giant, and that the lady comes up?
Oh, yeah.
That's a funny story.
But people don't know.
Okay.
There's a generation that doesn't know who the Friendly
He's
Giant.
dead now, eh?
Yeah.
I think he passed, but it was
Bob Horner, I think his name was.
I forget his name, but it was really a popular kids show.
Oh, that was really.
I mean, and
Bill
Dusty.
and then Bill and Ben was the one, and the Flower Pot Man.
Right. So you're in an airport, and remember, and someone comes up to you with their older mother, and asks you.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I forget. And she come up, and I don't know. You tell a story.
Well, so Dad's in the airport, and he's at his peak of Coach's Corner and the whole deal. And this man comes, older man, but he has his mother come up, his older, obviously older mother, and he goes, Ma, you remember who this guy is? And she's looking and figuring it out. He goes, you've watched him on TV all the time. And Dad's getting all ready to take a picture and sign the lady's autograph and all this. And she goes, Yeah, you're the Friendly Giant. And you know what, Dad? You do look like him. You have the same haircut.
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of hair back in those days.
You did. So getting back to Dave's question,
it
was about you played with Al Arbour, and did you
call him Radar?
Radar. Oh, right. That's Radar, right?
Yeah.
Did you think he was going to be a good coach, and did he really wear glasses all the time?
He wore glasses all the time. And they used to call him Radar because that's the only way he could play. He didn't know what was going on. I remember one time, Daryl Sly and I were always on defense together, and he was with Larry Hillman. Larry Hillman was a great defenseman too. He went up to National Hockey League to Toronto the next year and played in the first line of the defense. I never could figure that out. Anyway,
so everyone was going to the NHL, and you were staying in Rochester.
I just stayed. And I remember one time I played with Hillman, and we were on for 4 straight goals, and it was all his fault. Sorry, Larry, but they were his fault.
Yes.
And I got benched. And I went to Crozier, and I said, wait a minute. I get benched, and I said, Larry Hillman, it was all his fault. He says, yeah, I know they were his fault. And I said, well, how come I get benched? He said, he might play better with somebody else. And I got benched. Anyhow, I remember Daryl coming over I remember I went off first.
So you guys were changing.
We're changing. And Al started to clean his glasses. And Daryl, come on.
He was always wiping his glasses.
Yeah,
they were fogging
I
up.
remember one time he was like a dummy. He stuck out his stick, and the puck ran right up his stick and cut him right between the eyes. And he came to the bench, and his glasses were all blood. What a not, we didn't.
That must have been a sight.
Oh, that was really sick. And he was all blood. It was blood all over the place. Now, I wrote down a few things. Oh, we should tell a story about Jimmy McKinney.
Yeah. Okay. Well, most people will remember Al Arbour as winning
his coach,
4 Stanley Cups. 4 Stanley
Cups. Of course, we
Cup.
always have a different take on players.
Yeah.
How we remember them is always different.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wrote a few things down. Sudbury, Ontario, come from. He coached over 600 games. He had 781 victories. He was second to Scotty Bowman. 4 Stanley Cups. He won 4 and it really did. I played. Everybody knew them then. I played for the Windsor Spitfires. I came from Barrie, and I played junior with him in the OHL. Yeah.
Did he wear glasses then?
Yeah, he wore glasses then too.
Really, in junior?
Yeah, he always had glasses.
And remember, folks, no helmet. Just
no shield or anything.
No shield.
Just breakable glasses.
I'm sure they weren't shatterproof either.
No, I don't. I never thought of him playing with glasses. He just played glasses. And then he retired after 14 years and 600 games. He played he knew how to play. And he went. I think they made him coach in the expansion team, St. Louis, and then he did New York Islanders, and that's where he really shone. I mean, the players just loved him, and he was a great coach.
So, did you know he was going to be a good coach?
It's a funny thing. When Joe Crozier, who was the coach, had to go somewhere, he'd make Al, he was like the assistant, and we go, oh no, because he'd work us harder than Crozier. I don't know why he did it, but you could tell he was going to be. But he was a great guy. Should I tell a story about the time? I'll tell you a story. I hope I can remember it perfectly. We had a tough time all the time getting babysitters. And this mother didn't want her daughter to have anything to do with hockey players because they're rough guys and everything. And Al wasn't like that at all. He very rarely had a beer. But one time, they hired him, and mother says, well, I don't know, a hockey player. So young girl, she was about 12 or 13. And correct me if I'm wrong on this. I know I told the story a long time ago. So Al come home, he had a few beers and everything. And he went, I remember he told me he went to pick up some apples or something. And he tripped and he fell and he cut himself. So the little girl, he's going to get the money. And tell me if I made a mistake in this. But the little girl came, and here's Al with all blood running down, and that little girl ran all the way home. I never forgot. She never was babysitter again. Our reputation as hockey players went down. And I remember Claire, his wife, they never had a television, and I had an old television. Imagine, I had an old television, black and white.
And you were the hero with the television.
Yeah, I had two televisions, but one of them, and I remember giving Claire, imagine, we weren't making money, and I give him an old black and white, and that's what Claire and him watched, and the kids watched, this my old black and white. And anyhow, I knew Al, and he was a great coach. I mean, he was second to Scotty, which he's got to be a good coach.
But you should tell them. He was kind of like he was mentoring the young guys in Rochester,
right.
And you had the wild man, Jimmy McKinney.
He wasn't wild. Well, he was wild. He was wild in junior, but he was good. He was supposed to, him and Bobby Orr come along at the same time. And he was supposed to, it was a neck and neck, who was going to be greater, him or Bobby Orr.
Jimmy McKinney or Bobby Orr, they comparing the two, coming out of junior.
Yeah. So... And Toronto really had a good club. They'd won the Stanley Cup and the whole deal. And I remember we were at the Westbury Hotel, which is right behind the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. And Al was playing for Rochester. And he was laying in bed and with his hands behind his back. I'll never forget it. And Jimmy was standing up at the end. And Jimmy had a couple, and Al had a couple. And he said, listen, Jimmy, you listen to me. And you can make the National Hockey League. I thought that was pretty good. And he says, you listen to what I do. And Jimmy McKinney, what? What am I going to do? Make the National Hockey League and roll around the ice and block shots like you? No way. Well, I went right to the floor, and Al looked at me. I think he was with a guy named Jimmy Corrigan. And Jimmy McKinney doesn't touch a drop now.
So how did he get the name, like a lot of people know him around Toronto as Howie?
How he got the name Howie was Howie Young was a wild man that was his hero, was Howie Young. And anyhow, that's why they call him Howie. Jimmy McKinney was, he goes around now and, talks to people that take drugs and everything. And he was great on television. I remember when he first came on television, Rose and I would be home. And we, come on, Jimmy, you can do it.
He was on City TV, and I remember, Moses Amer hired him to do the sports, and oh boy, were we rooting for him.
Oh, and come on, Jimmy, and you could see the sweat coming out. And at the end, he did local television.
Great. Yeah,
he was great on TV.
He was. I never missed him.
Yeah.
And all, but can I tell you my memories of Al Arbour?
Oh yeah.
Well, just before you go, Sandy, I've just got to mention our other sponsors, Bread.ca. So they're a First Nations owned, unlike a...
Okay, Tim, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I want to make a bet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to make a bet. Say
Right.
I got an extra $20.
Right.
And I want to make a bet.
Yeah.
How do I get on that?
You go on the computer,
Computer.
spreads.ca.
What is it?
Spreads, SPREADS.ca, spreads.ca.
Yeah.
And then you log in.
I say I want to bet $20.
Well, you gotta log in. You gotta put your name and your email address.
I'm pretty stupid on those
and
things.
all this. So then you put it in, and then you got to make a deposit. So
How do you make the deposit?
well, you get your credit card, or you get
They all want your credit card. Dad.
credit card or your PayPal or whatever, and then you say, I want to put $20 into my kitty, right? Basically,
What's the kitty? Like, what do you
like
mean?
a kitty, like your pot, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
money that so they hold that for you, and then you can go on to the sports bet, and then you click on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so let's say, like last night, I bet on the Dodgers.
Nice.
Yes, and I bet on the Dodgers.
And Tampa Bay made a comeback.
Yeah, what a game that was last night. So this is Sunday, so this was Saturday night's game. And then you bet it, and then when the game's over, you go back and you can see on your deposit like how much you have in your kitty.
I often wondered how you get on.
Yeah, so you go on. It's quite easy.
You do the betting for me.
Yeah. So I bet but I took the Dodgers last night. What a crazy game! It was unbelievable, guys.
I thought, I saw Dodgers laughing, on the bench. They were, and
They were up, and they thought they had it in the bag.
It's in the bag. Game's in the bag. And what is it? Mookie Betts. What were you saying?
Mookie Betts, who's I think the right fielder for the Dodgers, makes more money than the starting lineup for the Tampa Bay Rays.
And they're young guys, and they're hungry. And boy, I saw Dodgers laughing. They're pretty good. And I thought, boy, I wouldn't laugh at that club because they're and who'd ever thought? I thought that they had that game wrapped up.
Yeah, and you just get a broken bat single. A guy gets on and walk. Then a guy hits an error, and the guys they're kicking the ball all around.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you sign up, and then
now we know how to do it.
Right. So if you go in and sign and use the Grapes promo, they'll match your deposit up to $100 or 100%. Up to $500. So if you put $50 in, they'll match it with $50. So you have $100.
That's pretty good.
Then and they also will let you. They also give you $50 for your first sports bet. So if you wanted to bet on the game on the World Series, go on there and they can give you a $50 free bet.
I don't know who to bet on. Who's going to win that, Tim? Who do you say is going to win the World Series?
I think I'm betting now. I think Dodgers are going to win. I think Kershaw. I think Kershaw is going to come back, and they're not going to beat Kershaw.
I don't bet you they won't be laughing on the bench again.
No. So, and then you get 15 free spins and to win some big dough, and then again you get a $25 free bet on the sports bet. So,
well, we hope they do good. They're a Canadian company, and
that's what that's what everybody wants to do now: support their local Canadian businesses. So, so we'll get back to Al Arbour. You have a good Al Arbour story.
Well, you have to remember when you're a kid, you always have your own version of life and everything. So I remember when the Ice Capades used to come to town, it always meant that you would go on about a 2-week road trip because they needed the ice, right? So, and it always seemed to be around Christmas time too.
well,
So
that's when they draw.
that's when they draw because the kids are out of school, and so they draw on this. So it was the last practice before you were taken off. And so all the kids, because we're out of school, all the kids of the players would go down to the rink and watch. Well, and the Ice Capades were in town, so they were watching you guys practice.
Yeah.
Well, and they were sneering at you, hockey players and all this. So you and Al Arbour were the last on the ice, and you started to imitate figure skaters and
How do we do?
Well, you did really well because you were going around like on one leg, and Al was pulling you around and going you in circles, and then you would jump up in the air, and of course all the kids were laughing, and the Ice Capade people did not think it was funny at all.
So it's like the original Battle of the Blades.
Yes.
I never thought of that.
Once again, just like with the Battle of the Blades, they can't believe probably that you guys are as good as skaters as you
the
are.
ice was different, eh?
Yeah, that was. I remember you were saying that just before the first game of the Mississauga Ice Dogs, And before we had our first game, they had an exhibition game, or an exhibition of figure skaters, and they did something to the ice that you got mad.
Well, what happens is it's soft, so they don't fall. And when
is that it?
Oh, yeah. When hockey players play, the ice is hard. When figure skaters are on the ice, it's soft. You can dig in better. And I remember and they really cut up. They really
because those toe picks must really grind into the ice.
I can't believe the Battle of the Blades when I see some of those players. I'll tell you a story about, and then I know we're going on kind of long, but I'll tell you a story about Bobby Probert. Bobby Probert all summer practiced on figure skates because they told him he had to go on figure skates. And the only reason I tuned in was because of Ty Domi and Probert. So Probert, and then Ty goes, he said, I'm not skating on these skates.
Yeah, because he let everyone believe he was going to play by the rules.
Yeah,
and at
Ty,
the very last time, when he was ready to film it, he threw on his hockey skates.
Yeah, he said, I'm not
cheated.
wearing those skates. And Bobby Probert had worked all summer on to get used to it. And they went out, and Bobby Probert was pretty good, and Ty was terrific. And they cut Ty Probert the first day. For
6 months they've been promoting Probert versus Ty.
And everybody thought he was the greatest guy. I talked to the people there. I was a stupid judge, and they thought Probert was the nicest guy. You know, if you wanted tea, he'd go out and get the pizza, and they cut him and the only reason I tuned him and Ty were the guys that made that show.
Yeah. Oh, they were entertaining. And people forget you were a judge on that show.
Oh, I was a stupid judge.
Yeah, but you loved everyone. You just hated to knock any player.
No, I didn't want to watch. I mean,
we just got to jump in for all the American listeners, and we have quite a few. The Battle of the Blades is, because they don't get it down there, they get retired hockey players, and I think they're current figure skaters, and they do like doubles routine, and then they vote.
And it's fantastic.
And you can't. And you know what the thing is? We went to see it live, right? Cindy, and you can't believe how fast
it's a lot faster
they
in person.
skate in person than on TV. Like in TV, it looks a little bit slower, but boy, you go down live. And
I don't care, Tim. You tell me, but tell me the story. What the judge said about how
Dick Buttons,
good the hockey players were compared. This is a really good story, and it's a reality for the figure skaters out there.
Yeah, because it was the older guy that they first.
Dick Buttons.
So I remember he walked up to you, and I was there. He goes, "This is a disaster." He goes, "This is a disaster." And you look and you go, "Really? What? Well, why?" He goes, "Oh, this is a disaster." And you go, "Well, I think the players are doing really good." He goes, "Really good? They're doing too good." He goes, "We got broken down hockey players." He says, "We're making us look bad."
Yeah. So you remember Al and I?
It was just unbelievable. It was one of those childhood memories to see you and Al being figure skaters out there, and how good you were, and
and two great coaches.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, that's true, right? Defensemen.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Two great coaches. Just thought of it now. I'll tell you one last story about Al Arbour, and then we're done. And I think I did tell a story about Bobby Miller, eh?
Right.
And I'm going to hurry you through. Bobby Miller was from Billerica, Mass, and everybody was tuned in from Boston to see this guy from Mass. Boston,
first game.
Massachusetts. Yeah, first game, and it was in the island. And I saw looking at the lineup and all that. Then it was John McCauley, God love him, and I'm hurrying it through, and it was Al Arbour. It was Al Arbour who caught the mistake, and.
Yeah, Frosty Forrestal did your lineup.
And I never filled in the lineup. It was Frosty Forrestal, our assistant trainer. But the guy that caught the mistake on the lineup was Al Arbour, right?
Yeah.
So about a month later, I caught him in a mistake. And Frosty was just looking for something like Frosty Forrestal. Because he made it. And I said, no, don't tell me. Tell me in front of the players. And players were, they were still, and he said, "Don, I've caught the coach for New York Islanders in a mistake in the final." I said, never mind, we'll beat it without him. Tell him that. And we did. We beat them. But he was a great coach. I mean, 4 Stanley Cups, and the players loved him.